Welcome to day two of the college basketball season here, the college basketball tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. As usual, we've got three best bets coming your way. We're also going to break down three big games here tonight on the slate. And while we don't have a ton of power versus power games here, although there is one that I'm sure we're going to keep an eye on here as the show moves along. But we do have some intriguing games we want to break down for you with three of the best over at WagerTalk.com when it comes to, that's right, betting on college basketball. As Mr. Stat Daddy Jr. here, Jeff Michaels in the house. I know he's got a couple of games that he's got his eye on here tonight. Not quite the same slate as we had yesterday, but nonetheless, still opportunities presenting themselves. Nobody has got college basketball under his thumb quite like Adam Trigger. Those of you who've been following him and his previews leading up to the start of the season, you've already cashed a few tickets yesterday following along. And Bryan Leonard ready to go. He's been known to drain a couple of threes every now and then from the corner. So, gentlemen, let us dive into what is going to be, no doubt, another profitable college basketball slate here tonight. We'll start out west, really, here, Jeff, with an interesting game with San Jose State taking on UC Irvine. I know a lot of guys very high on this UC Irvine team here, but this number has gotten ballooned up as high as 4 just a little while ago. How are you approaching this game here with San Jose State and UC Irvine, the Anteaters?
Yeah, you said it, Joe. Not a whole lot of big name versus big name teams going on today, at least. But, this San Jose State team is really the story here, in my opinion. I mean, you look back at what they did last season. It was their first postseason victory in school history. Granted, it was the CBI. They won their first conference tournament game since joining the Mountain West. They had their first 10-win conference season since 1994 and their first 20-win season since 1981. Not to mention racking up the conference player of the year there too. Granted, he's graduated, he's gone, but you got high hopes for that San Jose State team as well as UC Irvine, who finished tied for the top in their conference last year, and they really bolstered their roster in the offseason, putting emphasis on that conference tournament at the end of the year and having to potentially win 3 games in 3 days. And I like what the San Jose State team has done and what they have the potential to do moving forward. But already they're dealing with some injuries here. They have 4 guys listed on their injury report already. 2 of them are out. Mitchell and Valhalla are both going to be out for this game already. And those were 2 of the pieces that they were looking to step up after losing Amari Moore, that conference player of the year last year. But Garrett Anderson, one of those guys listed as doubtful, actually throws a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. But we'll see how that translates over to, extended minutes on the basketball court. But this UC Irvine team, like I said, tied for the conference lead last year. Russell Turner's back for his 14th season as coach, but they also lost their 2 leading scorers. They lost them to transfers in this situation, though. Dawson Baker and DJ Davis, they combined for 30-plus points per game last season. But they do have plenty of options and plenty of talent throughout this roster, as I mentioned, putting emphasis on that 3 games in 3 days kind of conference tournament at the end of the year. But, I really think that I'm looking at the under here. I think there are a lot of question marks, and I think that that's what we're going to see with a lot of these teams to start out the season, looking to replace pieces, not moving quite as fast as they would in their peak and in their prime. And once things get accustomed here, but I really wanted to talk about this game because I do like what both of these teams have moving forward. But for night one, I got to be looking at the under here as the new rotations and the new rosters get set and start to play out and minutes start to develop. So I'm looking at the under out west in this one tonight.
All right. Yep. It's starting to creep down as we speak here. That's going to be 10 o'clock Eastern time tip with Irvine taking on San Jose State. And I do want to invite those of you joining us here for the first time to hit that subscribe button, because if it is college basketball content you like, well, it is college basketball content we have all year long. Nobody has more head-to-head matchups, all the information you need to know to make it a profitable college basketball season. Just a click away. Go ahead, become part of the Wager Talk TV family and hit the subscribe button. And heck, why not? While you're there, make sure you check out Adam Trigger, who I believe is our $2 handicapper of the day, which must mean after a sweep of the board last night, Trig, you got a pretty big play that you like here tonight for $2.
Yeah, it's one I kind of had circled for a couple weeks. Um, it's one of the teams I think I have a pretty good beat on, and yeah, we had a good night last night, 2-0, really 3-0. I mean, hopefully most people went 3-0. I got a bad number on Lehigh. I'll talk about line movement in a minute, but yeah, good first night, and hopefully we can get it done. I've only got one play up so far for today. It's the 5%er. It's only $2, and I'll give a best bet at the end of the show. Probably won't make my client card.
All right. Well, we did talk about it. Jeff alluded to it, right? We got a lot of, big brother, little brother kind of matchups, but we got a big one here. SEC taking on Big 12 with Baylor taking on Auburn. I know you did a Baylor preview with our good friend CT Betts here before the season started. Well, opening game here tonight. What should we expect from these two?
Yeah. So first of all, if you want like the deep sort of dive into Baylor basketball, go onto my Twitter at ToplightSI. I brought CT on to do the preview of Baylor, and there's really no one better to talk Baylor in respect to betting on Baylor sports than him. We did about 25 minutes on Baylor Bears, so I mean that's up on my Twitter now. So I'll focus more on the matchup here and the way I think you could potentially bet this game. I joked about the line move because I took 6 with Lehigh last night, not thinking it was going to get better. It went up to 7, and I've actually been on sort of wrong on a couple of the line moves so far this in the first 2 nights, and this one is one of them. Now I didn't bet the side in this game, but I was surprised to see Baylor now an underdog. I guess the reason I'm surprised, Joe, is like just in respect to where I think they are in their respective conferences. I still have the Big 12 just a little bit stronger than the SEC, and I have Baylor ranked higher in the Big 12 than I would Auburn in the SEC. You put them on a neutral floor, and it kind of made me think that Baylor, might take the money there, might be the favorite, but now it's Auburn's the favorite. So from a side perspective, it's confusing. And the other thing from a side perspective, these like made for TV matchups, neutral court. This one's up in South Dakota. I tend to they tend to be harder to bet in my opinion. So I kind of made an audible here, and I'm going to focus on the total because I think I have just a stronger opinion from an actionable info standpoint on the total of this game. So I saw this creep up. I would disagree with that. I think I'd be more willing to go with the under for a couple of reasons. One, Auburn's biggest drawback last year was their shot selection. I mean, this team just took bad shot after bad shot. It's ultimately what sort of held them back from being what many people thought they could have been. And this year the big the big selling point, if you will, with Auburn is the guards, improved guard play. Obviously, John I. Broome is the name is going to get thrown around a lot, but really the guards, Holloway, Denver Jones, Baker Mazzara. A lot of people think Auburn improved their guards and thus should improve offensive efficiency, so on and so forth. And that might be the case, but I think Baylor is going to surprise some people on the defensive end. This was a bad defensive team last year. They were dead last in defensive efficiency in Big 12 play. But, Keontae George is gone. He played no defense. And it's Jacoby Walter that comes in. What they're saying is he's a far better defender than George. And then you go from Flagler and LJ Cryer in the backcourt, and you're going to bring in Jaden Nunn from VCU, who's also a fantastic defender. And I just think that knowing that they're going to lose guys like Flagler, George, Cryer, 15, all scored 15 points per game. I do think Scott Drew is going to really emphasize the defensive side of the ball, especially because he has, a really good perimeter defender in Nunn. And, if we don't know what Walter's going to do yet, he's the unknown commodity, but reports are that he's a very good defender. And then of course JTT, Everyday John, is healthy this year. He wasn't last year, and he should help them, in the post as far as on the defensive end. Auburn, what they do well defensively is pressure. And that might give this Baylor team trouble. Remember, new backcourt here, right? Like you've got Ray J. Dennis. He's kind of taking the step up from Toledo. Now he's going to be, playing for Baylor. New backcourt. We'll see if they can handle the ball. And from what I'm hearing, a lot of people think Broom is going to take a step forward on the defensive end. He's, of course, the 6'10 center for Auburn. That, really good offensively, 14.2 points per game. I know that defensively he's not like an eliminator down there per se, but they think that he can take a step forward defensively this year. So Joe, you throw this on a neutral court in South Dakota, an early season game, first game for both teams. This feels like a game where Auburn maybe forces some shots. Baylor's not super crisp offensively. And if the Baylor defense is in fact better, I find it hard to believe this one goes over. So I'll go with under here for my big game breakdown. Especially at the current number, it creeped up, and I don't disagree. I disagree with that move. So I think there's some value on the under.
Yeah, 142.5 up to 147.5 now. So yeah, certainly the money has come pouring in on the over, but with game one, different sight lines, smaller gyms. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit harder to get that many points here tonight in the big matchup between Baylor and Auburn. And we bring in Bryan Leonard, who continues to dominate on the ice. What is it, a 7-1 NHL run? You're crushing college football. You've been at WagerTalk, one of the most profitable college basketball handicappers over the years as well. Do you have anything in college hoops that we should know about here tonight?
Well, first of all, they always say early bird gets the worm, and both of these guys jumped in with the better schools, the bigger programs. So I'm stuck with a lesser known game here, but hopefully we can get the money for it because the money's all spent the same, as we all know. Sacramento State, the Hornets traveled to Nevada, Reno to play the Wolfpack. The Hornets are going to try to take the next step this year. They did pretty well last year. They're an up-and-coming team. But they really don't have a bona fide team leader. They don't have a guy that they can count on. Maybe that'll come as the season goes on. But as of right now, this is a team that's going to win with depth. I think that's going to be their reason to get to the next level is the depth they have. And if you take a look at what they did last year, they're very good offensive rim and three rate last year, which was ranked 43rd. They're even better in that category defensively, finishing 21st. So I like teams that can get to the rim and hit the threes, and this is a team that could do it. Unfortunately, they've lost a lot of players in the offseason. David Patrick's in his second year here, and he feels this team could finish in the top four of the Big Sky Conference this year. He said that would be their goal, and I think they can reach that. They have a very diverse team with players from all over the globe. That's a good thing, except for when you bring in players in that regard, it could take a while for them to get to know each other and know their synchronicities, and that could be a feeling out period to start the season. But no doubt, I think this is a team, as the season goes on, we can make some money by betting on the Hornets. Just don't know if they'll get there on the opener. Nevada, they were very fortunate that Jared Lucas and Keena Blackshear both decided to forego the transfer portal and come back and stay in Reno. This is a team that went 22-11 last year, including an outstanding 14-1 at home. Living in Las Vegas, that's one stadium I've always wanted to go to in Nevada. And next time I get up in Reno, hopefully I'll be able to catch a ball game there, as they've got a really strong home court in that regard. But this is the most experienced squad that Steve Alford's had in his 5 years here. So they're really looking forward to a strong season. Both of these teams could be moneymakers this year, but the Hornets should gradually get better. I think we'll get better spots to play them later in the season. We think this line is a couple points too small as the Wolfpack bounce back from a bad preseason showing in their exhibition game. I think they come back here and take it to Sacramento State. I made the line about 2 points higher here, so that's enough to get me on Nevada.
All right. Well, there we see. We got a little something out west. We got most everything out west here, but that's about to change here because we're going to see if we can't get a little something maybe a bit earlier that we're going to take a look at. And don't forget, guys, again, if you're new here to Wager Talk TV and the college basketball tip-off show, go ahead, smash that subscribe button and like button because college basketball content is what we've got. We got 3 best bets we are going to we're going to start handing into along with our good friends from the Gold Sheet. They as well have a game that they like a lot. We'll share that with you. But Jeff Michaels, we're heading to you here, my man, crushing no doubt. Whether it was college football, the NFL, you've got college hoops in your sight lines here. And you're going to look at for a best bet, a game that involves a team that some people are up in the air about, and that's Michigan taking on UNC Asheville here tonight. Pretty darn good team in UNC Asheville for a mid-major, but do they have enough to handle business against Michigan here tonight?
You know, Joe, think about this for a second. One of these 2 teams is returning their leading scorer, rebound, and assist leader. One of the teams made the NCAA tournament last year, and one of these teams had 20-plus wins last year. And I wouldn't be mentioning it if that team was Michigan, obviously. So, you know, this UNC Asheville team has Drew Pember, and that's really, you know, going to be the difference maker for this team this season. He led the team in points and rebounds. The 6'11" power forward was a 5-time conference player of the week last year. He was the defensive player of the year in the Big South and the conference player of the year in the Big South. Played 30 games in his first 2 seasons for Tennessee, but he transferred up here to basically dominate and take over. I mean, this UNC Asheville team, 27-8 last year, and they have 4 returning starters. And, you know, that team up north, as I still refer to them, as college football is still going on, you know, 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games last year as a double-digit favorite. Now they open this one as a double-digit favorite, and it's coming down. I would jump on it while you still can because I am backing UNC Asheville here. I think this Michigan team is really a team with some concerns, and I think those concerns could be long-term. I mean, their 3 best players, 2 of them ended up in the NBA in the top 15 picks with Jet Howard and Kobe Buffkin going 11 and 15 in last year's NBA draft. But the biggest surprise, and, you know, I think the biggest standout factor here is Hunter Dickinson transferring to Kansas. And more than just the fact that he's a dominant player and he obviously makes a difference on the court, just that alone, him transferring, draws some concerns for me for this Michigan team because he's led the team in points and rebounds over the last 3 years. He was the dominant force on the inside of this offense in the Big Ten. They were a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament in 2021. And now he's out. He's gone. He's going to Kansas. He's taking his talents out there. And this team finds themselves left without 3 of their best players from last season. You know, that definitely draws some concerns about, you know, the reasons behind him leaving, if there's issues in the locker room, if there's issues with the coaches and whatever that may be. But I think that goes deeper than just his play on the court. Not to mention this Michigan team, 6th-year grad transfer, Jalen Llewellyn. I may have butchered that. I apologize. But got a medical red shirt after getting injured midway through the season last year, and he's still not quite ready to go. I saw him listed as a game time decision, but I also saw that he hasn't been involved in any contact at practice yet. So that makes me question being a game time decision if you're not even drawing contact in practice. I can only assume that he's not going to play in this one. And Jace Howard's out for Michigan as well, who played 30 games off the bench for this team last year. So, UNC is Asheville's returning a lot of firepower. They got the best player in their conference. And I think Little Brother has a chance to keep this one close here in Big South versus Big Ten up. So it was 11, I believe 10.5. It was even creeping down towards plus 10 for UNC Asheville. So I would jump on it while you can before that line continues to drop.
All right, get on it here for you know it. It'll be single digits, Jeff, before it's all said and done. So good opportunity there. Let's switch it back over to Mr. College Hoops there, Adam Trigger. Been talking college basketball for over the last month, getting ready for this. So you've got not the biggest of cards here tonight, Trig, but is there a game you like a little bit more than the rest for us here on the show?
Yeah, no, there definitely is. Obviously, the one I like best is up. It's the $2 play this week, so go grab that for $2. I would say the second best thing right now that I'm seeing is the Drexel Dragons. This was close for me. I guess my sort of one reservation here and why it didn't make my client card. Well, two really. One, the line move. I missed the best number. I mean, a day ago you could have got this at pick, even -1. So now I would have to play the money line, and I would want to go smaller on that, up in the -145 range. And two, LaSalle is like a little bit of an unknown. They're projected way down in the A10, sort of hierarchy this year. But there's some things about the Explorers that interest me, specifically their guard play. And of course, Fran Dumpy back in the coaching game. It'll be his second season, and I've always liked him as a coach. So I guess those are the two reservations I had of fading LaSalle, but I'm very much all in on Drexel, Joe. And even though this won't be a client play for me, it's certainly close, and I will absolutely look to back Drexel down the line somewhere. I think that this team is going to be really good. I think they're going to overachieve, exceed expectations. I couldn't find the word. I was up late last night, Joe, out at Lehigh. Didn't get home till 2 a.m. But everyone back. And Amari Williams is back, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, just a great rim protector, the perfect person to anchor a defense that is just one of the best sort of three-point defenses at the mid-major ranks in the country. They're as good at running you off the three-point line as any. And then, of course, if you try to go inside and you don't have bigs, which is going to be LaSalle's issue, you've got Williams there to clean things up. That's where this LaSalle team is going to struggle. The two Drames, Husseini Drame and Hassan Drame, are out. They're elsewhere now, and that really leaves a void for the Explorers on the inside. So it's going to be all about the guards here for LaSalle. And they have some good ones. There's a trio of good veteran guards there, but I don't know that that's going to be enough to beat Drexel, with how good they are defensively, because they're going to lock down that 3-point line. And I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot of mid-range stuff for LaSalle. So they're going to have to shoot an incredibly high percentage on like 10, 12 footers here, Joe, or they're not going to beat the Dragons. If the Dragons are any good offensively this year, they are going to absolutely be in the mix in the Colonial. They're a team that I started to sort of fire on late last year. I felt like they were coming around. They've got a veteran head coach in Zach Spiker that I think is a really good coach. Just the Drexel Dragons sort of check all the boxes for me as a play on team. And so the only way I could play this game would be to play on the Dragons. Again, I'm not dying to lay 2.5 on the road. I'd prefer the money line here and just play it a little smaller. But Drexel is the better squad in my opinion, and I think they probably get it done in what's I guess it's a Big Five. I don't know if they let Drexel in yet, but it's certainly a Philly rivalry, and it should be a great game.
Drexel, it is here tonight with the small number there, taking on LaSalle for Adam Trigger. And, of course, that leaves us here with Mr. Leonard, Bryan Leonard. And I love this game here, Bryan. Can't wait to hear what you think about it for a best bet. But talk to us. Is it business as usual for this team here, or And I love that you're taking the 11.5 too, because that's exactly what I was hoping you were doing. Tell me about DePaul taking on IPFW, and explain to people who may not know what the hell IPFW is there, Brad.
Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, the Mastodons, one of my favorite favorite nicknames in college basketball. Yeah, they're playing at the DePaul Blue Demons. Now, Fort Wayne, this is an interesting handicap. Not only is it my best bet, but I thought it was an interesting handicap. Fort Wayne only has 14.8% of its minutes returning and 18.4% of its scoring back this season. They've only got 2 players who were in the organization 2 years ago. So this is a team that in the past, especially last year, really likes to rain the threes, but that lack of familiarity with each other could result in a slow start to the season. Defensively, the Dons have ranked 20th in the nation in three-point defense, but that too is something that's likely to take a step back because of all the new players. Now, that said, money's come in on Fort Wayne here, and we agree with the line move. When you take a team, I'm a big believer in following the money. And when you have a team that has so many new players going against a team that's more well-known in DePaul, and yet they still take the money, that's a team I'm looking to back on here, and I think we can get the cash that tonight. DePaul's got a lot of turnover themselves. They'll likely have 8 players making their debut for the Blue Demons tonight. Interestingly, they just played Division III Tournament Sweet 16 North Park in their exhibition. They won that game 74-63 at home. Last year, DePaul ranked 295th offensively in rim and 3 rate, as well as 300th in free throw rate. So those are 2 things I look to go against. If you're low in free throw rate, that just means you're not attacking the basket, and it's the same thing comes into account when you're looking at the rim and 3 rates. So the DePaul's offense is really something I don't want to bet on, and to expect them with 8 newcomers come in here and win this by a margin, I don't see it. This offense just isn't good enough to lay that type of number. I played IPFU. Fort Wayne, and I think this is a really solid bet on Tuesday.
I love it. IPFW, Fort Wayne getting it done. Take them points, as many as you can, and do not forget our good friends over at the Gold Sheet. We have our Gold Sheet play of the day, guys, and they're going to go to a game we talked about a little bit earlier there with Jeff, as San Jose State taking on Cal Irvine here. They're going to take a look at that first half under 60.5. And when it comes to tempo, it's a great write-up here talking about how San Jose State was number 351. I wouldn't expect a whole lot of running out of Irvine either. So this write-up and write-ups across all the college basketball games, as well as, let's not forget, college football still going on, NFL, just a couple of clicks away over at goldsheet.com. Check them out if you haven't done so already. But that first half under 60.5 with San Jose State and Cal Irvine will be the play of the day for them. So there you got it. Day 2 of the college basketball season off and running here. We'll be back again tomorrow with another edition of the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. But we're not done, of course. Still plenty of other head-to-head matchups, games that are going to be on tap here, and we've got you covered. Just hit that video on your screen right now, and you'll get access to all of those head-to-head matchup previews, as well as more best bets here at WagerTalk TV. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.